views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
And hello, welcome to Open, the show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world right to you. I'm Daren Jaime, and today we're going to update you on what's happening in and around our borough. Coming up, April is Autism Awareness Month. We'll learn more about NYC Autism Charter Schools, providing quality education for children with autism. Then, Never Be Caged is launching a statewide campaign to reduce an end to mass incarceration. We're going to introduce you to three very special individuals, and they'll be coming up a little later on in the show as well. And afterwards, the New York Mobile Film Festival. It's actually looking to showcase some of the best films shot on a mobile device. Yeah, stay tuned. We've got more information on how you can actually shoot a film on a mobile device and then submit it. Then after that, we're going to catch up with the filmmaker and cinematographer behind Revolution's Selfie, The Red Battalion. And then if you're into book reading, the Coffeehouse Resistance is a story that's about a Coming to an America story, a lyrical memoir and activist call to action. And it was released just yesterday. We're going to catch up with the author who's going to be here with us. So stay tuned because all this and much more is heading your way. Right now, we're officially open. And hello, everyone. I'm Daren Jaime, and today is Wednesday, April the 10th, and you're now watching Open, a program that brings the Bronx and New York City straight to you. We also want to welcome our viewers on Manhattan Neighborhood Network, as Open is simulcast live while we are here on the show on the MNN channel. Now you can stay connected to us via Twitter at BronxNet TV and on Facebook at Open BronxNet Television. Well, a lot has certainly been going on through the past week. We're going to take you through a couple of highlights with some Bronx updates. Well, I think we're all getting excited about the weather, and as the weather slowly starts getting warmer, you can begin by signing your child up for Camp Junior at Harriman State Park in memory of slain Bronx teen Lisandro Jr. Guzman Feliz. It's a free 2-week sleepaway summer camp located and loaded, I should say, with swimming lessons, art and music lessons, classes on leadership, skill building workshops, and much more. Now, the camp welcomes girls and boys ages 9 through 13 who live in the Bronx, and it also will be administered by the Fresh Air Fund with the full support of Lisandro's parents, Leandra Feliz and Lisandro Guzman. Now, parents may also submit a first-come, first-served application for their children by visiting child.freshair.org or calling 1-800-367-0003. Now, additionally, if you want to support Camp Junior, you can also donate online. And how do you do that? Well, you can donate online at crowdrise.com/Camp Junior, or you can text Junior to 41411 or call the Fresh Air Fund at 212-897-8900. In health news, New York City has declared a public health emergency amidst a measles outbreak in Brooklyn. The outbreak began when an unvaccinated child returned home to Brooklyn after acquiring measles on a visit to Israel, where the disease is largely being reported at present. Now, according to the City Health Department's website, Mayor Bill de Blasio says the city would require unvaccinated individuals living in select zip codes in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, to get the measles vaccine in response to one of the largest outbreaks in decades. The mayor stated that he was aware that this was, quote, an unusual action, and the city would issue violations and possibly even fines for those who don't comply. Now, those who cannot afford the vaccination can get it for free, the mayor also said. Well, that's all the time we have for our Bronx updates, but we do have other news for you. The Einstein College of Medicine in Morris Park, it actually hosted MSNBC's All in America with Chris Hayes, and it featured Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and her Green New Deal resolution addressing climate change. Our Bronx correspondent, Arlene Makoko, was on hand. She brings us a story right now.
We are thrilled that AOC has come here.
Lines were wrapped around the Einstein College of Medicine for MSNBC's All in America with Chris Hayes, featuring U.S. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez for a live production devoted to climate change and her Green New Deal resolution, supporting the findings of a UN study released in November calling for a 55% drop in carbon dioxide emissions by 2030 to meet climate goals. Here's Dr. Karen Vonneck, a professor in the Department of Family and Social Services.
I mean, this is one of the poorest counties there is in the country, and we have rates of diabetes, obesity, and other chronic health conditions, and we need more attention, and I think she's a really fantastic grassroots voice.
Also waiting online, William Foster from Manhattan, who wants to hear more about climate change that has the potential to affect so much.
It's part of the economy, it's part of childcare, it's part of everything. Like, this is what we need to do in order to progress ourselves on this planet.
Hayes, who is from the Bronx, opened the show, sharing that currently there are 405 parts per million of atmospheric carbon dioxide, a stark contrast from 1979, his birth year when there were 338 parts per million, and 1989, Ocasio-Cortez's birth year when there were 355. No filming was allowed during the production, but after, Ocasio-Cortez talked to the press about the need for an open forum like this one on the Green New Deal.
You know, I think one part of this is to really have us expand our understanding that environmental justice is a racial justice and social justice issue.
The resolution has 103 co-sponsors, including 6 Democratic senators running for president. Republicans, however, are not in favor, with Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell calling for a vote on the resolution, with the majority made up of Republicans voting against it.
I'm very encouraged, in addition to the fact that having every Democratic presidential candidate endorse the Green New Deal is not a bad start.
The show was an opportunity to hear further on the Green New Deal that looks to guarantee universal access to clean water, provide a 100% green energy power grid, see that every building in America meets new green energy standards, dramatically reduce carbon emissions from vehicles and agriculture, all while providing higher education for all Americans, as well as affordable housing, jobs with benefits, and universal health care. For BronxNet, this is Arlene Makoko.
And we are back. Thank you, Arlene. And we want to tell you that we got some very special guests coming up in this segment right here. Now, we talked about film festivals before, but the New York Mobile Film Festival is actually in its second year. It is seeking to showcase some of the best smartphone films from diverse filmmakers in New York and worldwide. And now joining us in studio to tell us more about the smartphone filmmaking in the upcoming film festival is Victor Ibarra, who is the executive director of the New York Mobile Film Festival. And good to have you.
Good to have you.
We got the mobile phone up. We've got a movie coming. Listen, you're telling people right now we have the ability with our phones to make things happen.
That's absolutely right. I mean, you know, more than a festival, the New York Mobile Film Festival, it's a platform to really showcase the abilities and creativity of filmmakers and content creators in general. Mm-hmm. We already have a successful, last year, we got over 1,000 films submitted from all over the world. And this year is not the exception. I mean, we're receiving a lot of films still. So
somebody's out there watching right now saying, okay, this might be news, like having a smartphone film festival. How do I get a smartphone, how do I make a film on my smartphone?
Well, you'll be surprised. Some of the best and well-renowned mobile filmmakers out there. Steven Soderbergh, Ocean's 11 director, he's using his cell phone to shoot his films. He uses iPhone 7. He uses Mondo Labs lenses to give that cinematic feel to it. But at the end of the day, mobile devices are right there. Right there in your pocket. You have a studio in your pocket. Some kids are like making movies without realizing that they're actually being filmmakers already.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, I think when we look at social media, we see a lot of, we see a lot of videos, and sometimes we don't see them in a very positive light. You see fights, you see stuff like that, but people are actually capturing these things, and the understanding that you can take this, turn it into a positive thing, and actually be able to broadcast it so that way now the world can see in a film festival. So you get these submissions that are out there. What's the deadline for people who want to get these films in or make them?
So the deadline for submissions, it's May 30th, right? And actually, we're running a promo right now. So if you submit your film right now, you can go to our website, go newyorkfilmfestival.com/submit, right? And use the promo code NYMFF, promo, the word promo, the number 1, and you'll get a 40% discount for the first 40 filmmakers that go in there and get it to submit.
And so let's talk about this too, because as I said, when you can actually submit, but what's the criteria? How long does the film have to be in order to come on in?
Good question. You can always refer to our website to see the rules, but the general rule is we're accepting the minimum requirement is 1 minute up to 10 minutes. We have 4 different categories. The category number 1, it's films in general, short films, cinematic. The second one is blogs, sketches that have the same format. I mean, there's like a lot of content creators that not necessarily your project is a film, but it could be a web series, right? That you can arc the story into a sketch, right? And submit it that way and get awareness about your story or your project itself. And then the third one, it's music videos. So there's a lot of creators out there as well, musicians, that are doing their own music videos, and they're like, great, they're outstanding, great quality, and they do it on their phones. So that's the third one. And then we got a student category, which we're enabling students to really come out and use their phones and show their skills on storytelling, exclusively.
So this is the second year that you're actually doing it. The first year you had great success. Were you surprised by the amount of people who actually came out the first year?
You know what? Yes. To be honest with you, yes. I mean, there's other film festivals out there that support mobile devices used, I mean, some of them, they start with 100 submissions, 200 submissions. We started with 1,000 submissions. I mean, amazing. I mean, obviously, 60% of those were from the United States, but we got amazing stories, amazing films from Russia, from India, from the UK, from France, from all over the world. And we're getting those as well this year. So it's fantastic, it's phenomenal. I mean, we're in love with films, and we really want to be that window of opportunity for content creators, and really for them to benefit about using their phones and not make it expensive about telling your story. Right. It's very accessible.
And talk about accessible, you can add stuff onto your lens. So for somebody who's watching right now, talk to me about what I'm seeing here. So
right here, we got an iPhone 10, and we are using a Mondog Lab lens, which is an anamorphic lens that these guys are like leaders on cinematic lenses out there. So it's an addition to your phone itself. I mean, it's very easy to get, it's very easy to use. There's over 10 different apps that you can use to film, right? And to select the different type of lighting that you need, right? There's even apps that you can add and edit your content in it, right? I mean, there's some challenges post-production wise, but it's an easy as take out your phone out, have an idea, put it into work, because believe me, there's so many people out there ready to listen to those stories, to those amazing stories. I mean, you can tell a story in your house, in your home. The sky is the limit, honestly, with filmmaking and content out there.
And I think for many people, you think that it's the hardest thing to do, but now it's right within literally the palm of your hand.
It is. I mean, honestly, like, it's just point, shoot, get an idea, and just put it out there. And what better to go to a New York Mobile Film Festival, because we want to be that avenue, and we really want to support content creators out there and showcase their abilities.
So let's go through some timelines. July 11th is going to be the actual second annual Mobile Film Festival. And if you want to get your submissions in,
Please do go to NewYorkMobileFilmFestival.com/submit. And and also we got that promo, which is the promo code is NYMFF, the word promo, the number 1, and you will get a 40% discount to those 40 first filmmakers, content creators that go out there and do it.
all right, Victor, thank you so much for coming.
Well, no, thank you.
Oh, thank you. Now listen, if you got a great film idea to shoot yours on your smartphone, well, all you got to do, get to work. Mobile film submissions are open, as we said, until May the 30th, and the New York Mobile Film Festival will be taking place at the Cinepolis, I can't get my words right, Cinepolis Theater on July 11th at 6 p.m. Now, if you want more information, visit NewYorkMobileFilmFestival.com. We'll take a quick break. Good to have Victor again. We'll be back with more Open coming up right after this.
For all the papas out there, let's stop what we're doing and take a moment. A moment to be with our kids. They can be loud moments, goofy moments, sporty moments, dorky moments, kooky moments. Moments where we talk or walk or just hang out. It doesn't really matter. They all count because every time dads take a moment to be with their kids, well, it's pretty momentous. So let's all take a moment to make a moment today.
I guess sometimes things just happen. Devastating things. Your whole world changes in an instant. That's what happened to me the day my mother had a stroke. I'm Paul George, and I want you to spot a stroke fast. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. Protect the ones you love. Spot a stroke fast.
And thank you for staying with us here on Open. April is Autism Awareness Month, and here in the Bronx, there are many community centers, organizations, and movements that continue to support families, like the NYC Autism Charter School, aiming to provide quality education to children with autism, with locations in both the Bronx as well as Harlem. Here now to tell us more is Julie Fisher, the Executive Director of NYC Autism Charter Schools, and we welcome you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's great to have you. And as we know, April is Autism Awareness Month.
Right.
And so a lot of focus has been going on in making people aware about children with autism. Yeah. And so give us from your perspective, you know, when you look at autism and the accomplishments that are being made, where are we coming so far? A lot of strides have been made.
Yeah. There have, and I mean, I think that, you know, the first thing to understand is it's a spectrum. So the saying in the autism world is when you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism, because kids are really so different from one another. I think there's been a lot of focus on research and trying to find a cause, and there have been gains made in that arena, but the bottom line is we still don't know a whole lot. And really what we need to do, looking at the numbers of kids with autism and families that are struggling, is figure out how to provide the right kind of education and support to all of these kids, and that's what we're trying to do.
So you got two beautiful schools. You had one in East Harlem, and you got one that opened up the fall in the Bronx. So I know you're excited about, let's talk about the Bronx first, right? So we'll talk about the school in the Bronx.
Yeah, we're so excited. We have a permanent home now on 1180 Tinton Avenue. We're co-located with two wonderful district public schools who have been nothing but welcoming to us. Right now we serve 20 students there, ages 5 to about 8. We go up to the age of 12 there. Hope to at some point go all the way to 21, which is the age range that we serve in East Harlem. And it's just such a great community. You know, we have been open in East Harlem for a while, and when we looked at our wait list and the number of families applying, we saw a huge percentage of families from the Bronx who were really eager for better education for their kids, and we just knew this was the borough to come to for our second school.
So when you talk about having a school, right? Beautiful community, by the way. Big shout out to my cousins and my aunt and uncle. They live right there on Tinton Avenue, so I know exactly where you're talking about. When you talk about the school itself, what is an actual day like for a student?
Yeah, so it's very different than your average school. You know, we focus certainly on academics, but do a lot of work outside of the academic arena, because when we look at what our kids need to learn, it's a lot of things like life skills, self-care. You know, many of our kids who are profoundly affected by autism may not speak, they may not know how to take care of themselves, need help dressing, learning to brush their teeth. So we do all of those things. And so our setting really allows for the kind of teaching that's just beyond, you know, regular reading, writing, and math. Also, all of our students in the Bronx get one-to-one instruction. So in every classroom, we have an adult for every student there. And that really allows us to provide the kind of individualized attention and develop a curriculum that's sort of unique to each student that's there.
So in terms of taking students on, right, still availability for students to come and be a part?
So we are growing for next year. We're at 20 right now. We're going to be growing to 32. So encourage families to go to our website. And, you know, certainly we are available as a resource to the community as well. And always, you know, we can only serve a certain number of kids, but want to be a resource to families.
With great strides come great challenges.
Yes.
So got to ask you, what are some of the challenges you're facing?
Well, I mean, I think it's, you know, it's really hard to figure out how to create the right education for students who are so different from one another. And I think, you know, the sort of typical education model is you present instruction to a whole group of students and expect that they're all going to learn. And for our kids, we know that's definitely not the case. And there really needs to be a level of individualization, as well as a lot of work with families. You know, our families are dealing with a lot of things. I always say autism doesn't end at 2:45 when we dismiss. Families are dealing with lots of things and struggles. You know, some of our kids may be food selective and only eat 2 foods. They may not sleep well at night. They may not be able to tolerate getting a haircut or going to the doctor. And so working hand in hand with families allows us to develop a curriculum and ensure that we're targeting skills that are going to make our students as independent and engaged with their families and communities as possible.
And you led into what I want to talk about, because I want to talk about families, right? Because it is a challenge. And you said each individual student has their own individual. Are there support services that are available for families, especially like dealing?
There are, and I think one of the important pieces of a quality education program is working with parents as partners. And so we have regular, what we call clinic meetings that we schedule with families where they're invited in. It's not just a meeting at a table with adults. They're in the classroom watching their child in instruction. They're giving us input about what they're struggling with at home. We're helping to train them. We use that as a training opportunity. And we also do home visits. So we're actually in the home with them. You know, many of our students may come to us not able to use the toilet independently. So we will teach them at school, and then we go home and make sure parents are able to do that as well.
Awesome work that goes on. So you have the individualized care, and that's important. And you got students who are actually coming and participating. And it's got to be a great feeling, though, because as you said, each student is independent of themselves, but also to have all are struggling with the same challenge. So is there a sense of comfort there, knowing that, hey, I've got somebody who I can identify with?
There really is, and I mean, I think that goes for our staff too. We're really such a close-knit family between staff members and family members and the students themselves. We have, you know, we've been around for a lot longer in East Harlem, and we have some students that have been together from the time they were 5 and are now teens, and have developed such close bonds and connections, and it's really amazing to see.
Well, great. Thank you so much for coming and sharing.
Thank you.
The great work that you're doing in the Bronx, East Harlem. Julie Fisher, Executive Director, NYC Autism Charter Schools. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now listen, if you want to find out more and you want to enroll your child, you can visit nycautismcharterschools.org, and you can get more information and enroll. Listen, don't go anywhere. We've got more show coming up. We'll be right back right after this.
I'll never forget the day our landlord called and said, read your lease. No pets allowed. My owner tells him my dog ate the lease, but that didn't work. And now I'm stuck in a shelter. But this pit bull is ready for a new crib. I'm loving, loyal, and play well with others. So don't be intimidated by all my muscles, because the biggest one I have is my heart. That's right, I said it.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made this vacation happen.
Double points with every purchase?
Cleverly merging promotions.
Love it.
Cross-referencing travel sites. And booking all your flights with those...
Vouchers. I got us bumped.
They were like, oh. But now they're like... Aloha. You aced this vacation. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
And thank you for staying with us. And if you stay with us here on Open, you know we introduce you to a variety of different people. And our next guest, well, we're talking about the Coffeehouse Resistance brewing. And guess what? The Coffeehouse Resistance was brewing hope in desperate times. It's a story about building community, claiming a home, and fighting for dreams. It's written by a Riverdale neighborhood coffee shop owner who became unsure about living the American dream following the 2016 election. And joining us now to share a little bit more about her new book is Serena Probasi, who is the author of Coffeehouse Resistance and co-founder of Booney Coffee. I said I was struggling with names all day.
Thank you. That was good.
To have you. I did good, right? Thank you. Glad to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So you've actually taken your experience and you've actually got a business, but not just a business, a book and a story is being told.
Yeah, on one level, it's a very personal story. It's our story, my husband and I, of moving from Ethiopia and coming to New York City, starting a business, and really following our own dreams. But it's also a political story in the sense that a lot of things are happening in the country, and after the 2016 elections, our coffee shops became places for people to gather, community members to really share their feelings, and then to become places for like community activism. And so that's what the book is about. It's on one hand, it's a very personal story. On the other hand, it's also a very current story about what's happening in our neighborhoods and in our communities.
So talk to me about the move and coming here from Ethiopia to America. Was it a big challenge for you?
It was a big change. I had lived in the US before. For my husband, it was the first time. And really, coffee kind of permeates our story because in Ethiopia, that's where coffee, it's the birthplace of coffee. And there's a huge culture there around coffee. And that is a coffee and community culture. And so there, it would be really unimaginable that somebody would drink coffee alone. You drink coffee with friends, with family. It's how you get your news. It's how you learn about what happened on the sports. It's where you learn about the latest gossip, it's all around coffee and family and communities. And so when we came here, we wanted our business to reflect some of that coffee culture that we love so much and tried to bring that into our business. So we like to think of it as the coffee house for that reason, which is different than, in a shop you might just go and buy your coffee, but in a coffee house, maybe you stay a while. And you chat and you get to know your neighbors.
How long did it take you to get the business up and going?
We moved to New York in 2011. We opened our first tiny coffee shop in Washington Heights in 2012. So within 14 months, we had opened our first location. Yeah.
And so then the book, here comes the book, right?
Yes.
And so what made you say, okay, I need to write about this?
You know, I was so inspired by what I saw happening in the shops and how people were coming together. Well, we hear a lot of really bad news. And what I was seeing was people who take care of each other, people who are standing up for one another, people who are really inspiring me. And that's why I felt like this is the time to tell those stories too.
And so as you go through the book, what are we going to find?
Well, you're going to find you're going to find out a lot about us.
That's a wonderful story. It's a wonderful story.
But you're going to find, you know, I'd say the book would be interested for anybody who has traveled or dreams of traveling, anybody who maybe is a more recent activist and feels like they want to make a difference, parents with small children. There's a lot of parenting things in there too. Or small business owners, or people who want to start a business. So there are different, like all of our stories, right? We're not just about one thing.
Right.
So it's multidimensional. It brings in our family life, but our business life, but also our life in the community and in this country.
So you start with one business, right? And then you move to multiple locations. How does that feel for you, having this one dream that actually just bursts out in these different places now?
Yeah. It's you know, at times it can feel overwhelming.
Yeah.
I have to say that for the first 5 years, we stayed put in our one location. We really learned the business. We learned the community. We, you know, really had a lot of work to do. And so it's only more recently that we've started to grow the business. Our girls were also young, so we were making a choice about, you know, how much time we wanted to spend away from them. But our second location is in Riverdale in the Bronx, and we've just opened in Inwood in northern Manhattan. So, and you know, the nice thing about it is that the neighborhoods are very interconnected. We find people who live in one place, work in another place, or have family in another place. So there's a lot of interconnection between those three locations.
We say like right up the block is what we call it, right?
Yes.
Just go right up the block and you can have this here. So your coffee, Ethiopian?
Yes.
I figured, right?
Yeah. Ethiopian and different types. So there are different types of coffee in Ethiopia. We really highlight those. But our house blend is a blend that we make ourselves, which is Ethiopian and Latin, to also reflect, you know, the communities that we're in. And it's you know, I sound like I'm bragging, but it's fantastic.
No.
Come and try it.
Right. You know, a poor frog doesn't salute its own pond, right? So there you go. We want to tell people, if you want to find out a little bit more, there's a book that's available, there's coffee that's available, there's a story that's being told. But really, when you talk about coffee shops, they really have transitioned. I mean, we talk about barbershops, right?
Yes.
A lot goes on in the barbershop.
Yes.
A lot goes on in the beauty shop.
Yes.
But a coffee shop does have its own dynamic to it. And so when you talk about the difference that the coffee shop makes, talk about what do you feel is the major difference that goes on in that dynamic?
Well, you know, I think there are all different kinds, right? There are places where people just go to work. They have their headset on, they're focused on their laptop, and these days, a lot of people are looking for a place to work, and that's understood. But I think when you're a place that's rooted in a community, then a lot is happening there. Where people are meeting friends. You know, we talk about doing a series about all the things that were started at Buni. You know, people have done their own projects and following their own dreams and things that have started, or people that have made connections and really continued that. There are, you know, writers that meet, there are knitters that meet, there are all kinds of groups. People that write postcards for, especially during the recent midterm elections, postcard writing, phone banking. There was all kinds of activism happening in the shops.
Wow. Buni Coffee. I want to tell you about Coffeehouse Resistance, and make sure that you get a copy of the book. Glad to have you. So you're in 3 different locations. People can find you everywhere in these 3 different locations, but I want to let you know too that Coffeehouse Resistance is now available everywhere. Books, ebooks are also being sold. And now, if you want more information, all you have to do is contact Serena, and you can find out more about her new book. Visit BuniCoffee.com. Once again, BuniCoffee.com. And thank you so much for coming and
Thank
sharing with
you.
us.
Thank you very
Good
much.
to have you. Now, on the topic of women business owners, paralegals for the community recently held their very first self-made boss lady brunch. And our Bronx Updates correspondent, Sanji Lopez, brings us the story.
Empower, strengthen, and educate. These were the verbs used to describe what paralegals for the community, an all-women-owned small business in the South Bronx, did at their self-made Boss Lady Brunch, held at the Bronx Documentary Center.
We wanted to create something early on in our entrepreneurship careers to give women self-confidence, to give women the knowledge and the skills that it takes to be successful as an entrepreneur.
The boss ladies behind Paralegals for the Community, Swanee, Rachel, and Elaine, were excited to share their knowledge and success with other women.
We all had 9-to-5 jobs, working in law firms, full-time jobs. I mean, it came to a point in our lives where we wanted to be our own owners. We didn't want to work for anyone else anymore. And we wanted to bring our knowledge together and kind of make something big out of it and give back to the community one way or another.
We always wanted to open a business. We just didn't know what. And like Elaine said, it got to a point in our lives where we said, you know what, if we're not going to do it now, it's never going to happen. Yeah. So we slowly started meeting, and then this slowly came together.
3 panelists also shared their personal, impactful stories with attendees. Confronting and overcoming adversities rang true in each of their testimonies.
There's a lot of things that we are told so that we aren't executing our dreams. They want to keep us down, I feel. And obviously, being naive, when you start to think about the big picture, you realize that obviously your competitor is going to tell you that.
I am a mom, and I don't like to use that as an excuse, but it sometimes does impair me from being 100% in my business, because if I'm being 100%, I'm lacking as a mom. So every day is a battle with me and myself, where it's like, am I being a good mom? But I'm sucking at work. If I'm good at work, I'm sucking as a mom. And then it's like, I also have a third, which is my partner, who the father of my child, that he's another one that's in the system. It's like I'm not giving him time. So it's like learning balance.
The self-made Boss Lady Brunch was also an opportunity for vendors to present their business and attendees to network and meet other women. I even joined in on the excitement of speed networking.
I am a self-published author supporting my girls here with Paralegals. This is an amazing event for women who are inspiring to do their business stuff, and I am a first-time author in my book, Diving in Stilettos First. I self-published. I talk about my dating life in New York City, or Bronx girls' point of view. And it's lighthearted. It's more so about self-realization and loving yourself and being your best you.
You have a community of women who want to grow, and to see people who are already doing it is to empower others. So it's very important to socialize and network also, so to help build your business, but most importantly to help build other women who have that vision as you do.
We want to encourage business owners, or our future business owners, female women, you can do it. If we did it, they can do it too. And we want to bring that information, our knowledge, and the things that we went through in life to make it their experience a little bit easier. So we want to just encourage each other, not us 3, but women in general, especially here in the Bronx.
Today's Boss Lady Brunch was all about networking and connecting and building confidence in your brand and your business. I know I definitely made a couple connections. Look at all these business cards I collected. To find out more about Paralegals for the Community, visit paralegalsftc.com. Reporting for BronxNet, Sanji Lopez.
And we are back here on Open. And listen, let me tell you, Never Be Caged. It's a movement, a coalition campaign founded by Bronx grassroots organizers, criminal justice reform, and youth development activists. And they're calling on the community to engage in their movement. Joining us now to tell us more are the presidents and founders of Never Be Caged, William M. Evans and Darnie K. Bourne-Rivers, and executive director and founder of Never Be Caged, Shaniqua M. Charles. And we thank you all for coming and joining with us.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Good to have you. So when we talk about Never Be Caged, obviously some work in the area of mass incarceration, advocacy, but talk to us about why you guys decided to come together.
So Never Be Caged is truly special because although the 3 of us have individual organizations that are on the ground doing the groundwork and keeping communities safe and together, Never Be Caged focuses on helping to end mass incarceration through investment in the youth and what it looks like to make sure a child has everything necessary from birth until their teenage years to never be caged in the first place.
So we talk about programs and things. How are kids engaged?
Well, kids are engaged through the various things that we're implementing. And to be more specific, just our discussion with them on an everyday basis about the things that's impacting them in their own communities and ways that they can act to play a part in this movement.
And conversation really makes a difference, you feel?
Absolutely, absolutely. Not only the conversation, but for young people to see their folks in community who look like them, live in the same neighborhood as them, have gone through the same things that they're going through, and be able to build and bond in those arenas truly does help them get from one stage to the next stage.
And you guys got 3 different organizations, but you're also working collectively as one, and
Yes.
you're having a huge launch.
Yes, we have a huge launch. It's going down tomorrow, April 11th, at the National Black Theater in Harlem. That's on 5th Avenue between 125th Street and 126th Street. That's going to be our launching and fundraisers. You know what I'm saying? Because at the time, right now, you know, we're trying to generate money so that we can do what we got to do and help the community. Because the gangs got money to guide the kids in certain directions. You know, the drug dealers got money to guide the kids in certain directions. So if you believe in the grassroots organization, then we need help so that we can guide the kids in the right direction also.
And you also are honoring public advocate Jamani Williams.
Yes, we're also doing that. He's doing great work.
Yeah, a lot of advocacy going on, and that seems to be the mission for all of you, the advocacy that's going on. When you talk about what's going on right now in New York State and across the nation, I mean, you talk about mass incarceration, you're talking about, I just had the conversation about decriminalization for marijuana, you got other things like that. Talk about meeting with community leaders, elected officials, and really what that conversation piece has been like in these areas.
So that's a really important question, and it's a really important action to be involved in, particularly if you are trying to make long-lasting change that's going to impact generations that we haven't met yet, right? So taking grassroots efforts and marrying the activism with legislation to understand that builds a tighter platform to be able to elevate our youth out of the throes of mass incarceration, out of the throes of failing educational system, you know, out of the throes of medical institutions that are not really designed to heal people in the community. So knocking at your legislators' doors, folks kind of get caught up sometimes like, well, the president, I voted for the president and look at us. But that's not the person who is in charge of Golden Avenue. President don't know nothing about Golden Avenue or Decatur Avenue or Fordham Road. These are the local folks, your council person, your assembly person, your senators, and these are the people that we're in conversations with daily to make sure that legislation, we just had a huge win in bail and eliminating cash bail, you know, for New Yorkers because people were being criminalized for being poor, right? So that's what it looks like to take grassroots efforts and marry legislation, and that's really, you know, the precipice of Never Be Caged and why it's so special because we're focusing on making sure that all of the groundwork gets tied into the political space and what that could mean for community.
That's got to be a good feeling for 3 of you guys to be able to just come together and really work and partner on the same platform, because many times you got so many people and they work in competition with one another. But you guys now have the opportunity to collaborate.
It's also we're setting a new platform, you know, that people could get together in organizations. It's not about everybody trying to hound one fund that's not really helping too much, because you got one person that only can provide one thing to the community when you can get different organizations like us, 3 different organizations that got together, and we got more strength and more able to network, the more people to build stronger.
Very quickly, how would you describe your organization?
Well, my organization are focused on grabbing guys from off the corner that's hustling or that been a part of gun violence, have been a part of the destruction of their community, showing them how they could utilize their energy in a whole different way as a leader.
And then yours?
And Miss Abby's Kids focuses on building a stronger, healthier, more sustainable Bronx child through real-world teachings and making sure that the things that are not a part of the standard educational system and health systems are given to children in the community, learning things like economics, civic engagement, how to organize in your community, so on, and how to keep your body healthy so that you can do all of those different things.
And mine, I promote public safety through mental health awareness and parenthood classes. And we also got an anti-violence unit because, you know, in our community, a lot of people they either fail to or they don't want to face the mental health issues that we have. And a lot of crimes and a lot of things do circle and come from people that are dealing with mental health issues. So we try to break that stigma and come to the community and let people know that we do understand.
and you put that all together, you got Never Be Caged.
Absolutely.
Right. There you go. So April 11th is going to be the day. Tomorrow, I want to let you know tomorrow, and they'll be taking place tomorrow, that grand launch, and it's going to be at the National Black Theater, 2031 Fifth Avenue, where you can come and find out more about Never Be Caged. Now, for more information, they do have a website as well. Visit neverbecaged.org, and you get the last word. Who gets the last word? You get the last word? Who's going to get the last word?
We give it to the queen.
Give it to the queen. There it is. Ladies first and ladies last.
Thank you so much. In closing, what we would just really like to impress upon the people is that for years we've been allocating funds to really huge organizations that are not necessarily on the ground. What we have here is a very unique opportunity to start pouring resources and funding into people who are on the ground every single day, sun up to sundown, and everything in between. So if you cannot make it out tomorrow, you can still contribute, you can still participate. Folks can still go right to that website and hit the donate button and say, we believe in saving our children, and we know that we can partner with you all to do it.
All right, great work that you're doing. Keep your boots on the ground.
Thank you.
Never Be Caged. All right, as we said, tomorrow's April 11th, 6 p.m., National Black Theater in Harlem, 2031 Fifth Avenue, New York, New York. And if you don't know, that's right there by 125th Street. All right, we'll be back with more Open. Stay with us. We'll come right back right after this.
Patriotism. It inspires passionate debate. It's worn like a badge of honor with good reason, because it means love and devotion for one's country. But what really makes up this country of ours? It's the people. To love America is to love all Americans. This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, sexuality, disability, race, religion, and other labels. Because love has no labels.
Well, Thomas, you've got pre-diabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have pre-diabetes. Big time.
Open up your books to page 360.
Did you just look at your phone while you was in class? You played yourself.
About inspirational quotes.
You gotta believe in yourself. Don't ever play yourself. The key is to make it, so make it.
Louise, can you give me an example of an inspirational quote?
Don't play yourself. The key is to make it.
And who said that?
I did. Now that's a major key alert.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at getschool.com.
Chiru has no choice. She and millions like her walk miles a day for dirty water. But together, we can end their walk by providing clean water close by. Instead of spending hours walking to get water that makes them sick, girls can be in a classroom, and moms will gain back time to care for their families. Sons and daughters can grow up strong, finally free of sicknesses. It's true. When you just add water, you change a life. Learn more at worldvision.org.
For all the papas out there, let's stop what we're doing and take a moment. A moment to be with our kids. They can be loud moments, goofy moments, sporty moments, dorky moments, kooky moments. Moments where we talk or walk or just hang out. It doesn't really matter. They all count, because every time dads take a moment to be with their kids, well, it's pretty momentous. So let's all take a moment to make a moment today.
And we are back. Revolution Selfie is a mock video game film expanding the horizons of documentary storytelling while broadening our understanding of lesser-known fronts in the global war on terror. Let's take a quick look at the trailer for Revolution Selfie.
Your mission is to infiltrate the New People's Army. The United States has designated the New People's Army a foreign terrorist organization. They have been waging a revolutionary war which has cost 40,000 lives.
The only caveat is that whatever you make should not add to the confusion.
So you don't know when you will die.
This is a reality show, not in the TV, but in the real life.
Yeah, this is no TV. This is no movie, man.
Oh, yes.
But perhaps it's time to find out what my government has been hiding.
What is the use of our lives if we were going to die without a purpose?
Well, there you saw, and here now to tell us a little bit more about his film Revolution Selfie, the Red Battalion is cinematographer and filmmaker Stephen DeCastro. Good to have you.
Oh, great to be here.
Congratulations on the great work.
Well, thank you, thank you.
So listen, when we talk about taking a look at it from this perspective, what do you want people to take away when they see Revolution Selfie?
Well, Revolution Selfie was an attempt to try to bring folks together who, under most circumstances, could never get together. I mean, how could people get the experience of talking to revolutionaries in the peasant hinterlands, you know, in a Maoist armed revolution? And so, also, there are some legalities involved where it's very difficult for an American to interact with a foreign terrorist organization listed by the CIA. And so I thought, well, how would you ever know about the so-called enemies of America if you don't have a dialogue, if filmmakers and reporters can't go over and talk to folks, find out why are they fighting, what is this war all about? And so in a sense, that's like the kernel of Revolution Selfie.
How long did it take to make?
Oh, about 2 years, I think. About a year of 3 years. Like there was a year of post-production, but then there was a lot of traveling around and going to the Netherlands, going to and then different parts of the Philippines. So,
and what's it been like for you putting this whole thing together?
Oh, it's it's kind of a life-changing experience. It's the promotion of it has been almost as much of an adventure as the actual production of it. I've just come from Zurich and 3 locations in the UK, Amsterdam, and I just came back from DC a couple days ago and showed it to a standing room only crowd as well. And the idea is that, yeah, with these different audiences, some of them are very familiar with the Philippine left, the Philippine Revolution. Other people never met a Filipino before. It's just it's amazing to see your movie unfold in front of so many different audiences. Yeah.
Right. And the various takeaways, because you have some people who are just introduced for the very first time, and some people who are familiar. For people who are just introduced for the very first time, what are you hearing?
Well, I think that often for those kinds of audiences, most of the questions have to do with the characters, about the Patrimonio family, Eunice, the little girl who is kind of like the star of my movie. For the first hour of the movie, it features a 6-year-old girl who begs under a bridge, and so. Then the fighters, the warriors themselves, and some of them who are not are no longer alive. And so there's many different folks who you get to meet in Revolution Selfie, and it's all unified under the story of, in the face of global inequality, how do people respond? How do poor people respond. And a revolution can take many forms. It doesn't have to be an armed revolution. That's, I guess, based on the conditions of the struggle that you find yourself in. Yeah.
So let me ask you this question, because we started off talking, our first segment, talking about being a mobile filmmaker, right? Come to end the show with you, and looking at your life, you're a trial lawyer, you know, former human rights commissioner of Jersey City. When did the shift happen for you to say, this is what I want to do?
I guess it's not really a shift, because I think that my skills have always been in writing and in storytelling. And so being a trial lawyer is very natural for me. But a trial lawyer tells a story, but in a certain format to accomplish a certain objectives. And so it's exactly the same for filmmaking, actually. So I found it very easy. I actually wanted to get into narrative films, but I figured out that I'm probably too old, and I don't want to wait 7 years for my first film. So I knew that for documentaries with a smaller crew and faster process, that I could do documentaries more. Although I do work on narrative films, but the key, I think, for me, for Revolution Selfie, is the idea that we could take small mobile cameras into situations to tell stories that people generally never get the privilege to hear, you know. And so definitely with Revolution Selfie, sort of, you can make a huge difference with just, you know, the camera that's in your pocket.
Right.
Yeah.
So you were a videographer here at BronxNet, and you were out actually covering a story that actually was the inspiration to what you did. Talk to us about that here.
Oh, well, let me see. Well, for BronxNet, I was actually covering a photo exhibit in Inwood, and I got to meet the people of the Inwood Film Festival. You know, any film festival gets like hundreds, sometimes thousands of submissions.
Right.
But, you know, I got to talk with Aaron, the organizer of the Inwood Film Festival, and this turned into them curating the film, and then my getting Best Feature at the Inwood Film Festival. So that I was really honored about that. Even it's kind of funny, because I've gotten a lot of awards from this film, but to get it from, you know, a small community-based film festival with people who were really excited about it, who didn't have too much of a knowledge of the Philippines beforehand, it was really great, you know, really awesome. And so, yeah, so it's great to do Revolution Selfie, especially for folks who don't know anything about the Philippine movement, just open-minded toward the idea of revolution and what is revolution in the 21st century.
Well, you're certainly opening some doors, Stephen DeCastro. Thank you so much for coming and sharing with us the movie Revolution Selfie. Now, if you want to find out more about Revolution Selfie and keep up with the future screenings, all you have to do is visit Revolution Selfie on Facebook, and you'll get all that you need to know. Unfortunately, we come to the end of our show today. I want to thank all of our guests for joining us, and most of all, you, the viewer, for tuning in. If you missed any part of today's show, of course, catch the recablecast at 5 and 10 p.m. on Optimum's Channel 67. If you don't have it, we're on Verizon Files, so on Channel 33, or anytime on the web at bronxnet.org. And that wraps it up for us here on the set of Open. I'm Daren Jaime, encouraging you to make sure you keep this channel wide open. And special shout out to all those watching on the MNN channel, our sister Ann, and all those others who are watching. I want to say take care, God bless, and Rita Valentine will be back with a fresh new episode of Open on Friday. Take care. Stay there, Steve. Don't go.